I almost forgot to hit record. Woo! All right, this is the kind of day I'm having. So let's try and do this well. Welcome. So glad you're here. I recorded this yesterday and then realized it was trash after trying to edit it. And so I'm re-recording. I hope this is much more concise, much better. I will show you a couple of things that I did yesterday while I was trying to put this together and how to do those things. Let's get into it. Today we are talking about how to use Clickup as a CRM. I have already recorded a video on how to use Trello as a CRM. I will either link it up here as a little box or down in the comments. Either way, you can find it. There's also an article that I wrote about these two products and the benefits of using them as your CRM and how I would set them up. But I thought I'd show you as well. So let's go ahead and share my screen, and here we go. All right, so here we are in Clickup. I'm going to warn you that Clickup does not like it when I record and use their product. It's very slow, so it is not normally as slow as what you're about to see, but it is very slow. Not quite dial-up slow, but fairly close. And I just showed my age. Anyway, let's get into it. The way I would set this up is you set your space up as a CRM. Right here I used a little guy. You can use any kind of picture for that, obviously, but this is what I used. And then, because it made sense, because we're tracking people, customers, relationship management. Hello. All right, so, and then what I did was I added different lists. So your hierarchy is space and then lists, and then the people would be tasks. Okay, so first I created a templates list, and that holds all of my all of the different templates for each client, my workflows. If you are, this is something that I would sit down and write out on a piece of paper. What are the actions that you are going to take when someone is a new lead? What are the actions that you're going to take when they become an active client? And then what actions do you need to take once they become a past client? And then if they tell you not to contact them, what does that look like? Or you choose not to ever contact them again for any reason. What is your process through that? Okay, so let's start with the templates, because this is your first step. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different checklists. Now I put these together in like 10 seconds just as samples. Your yearly touch points are going to have much more than 3, just because you should be reaching out at least once a quarter to people, and on special occasions. So let's start with the new lead. When you get a new lead, what are you going to do? So I came in here and I created, now you're starting to understand. I created this subtask list. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. If you do it as a checklist, that's okay too. You're going to come in here and just write everything that you do here. The difference between the checklist and the subtasks is that your subtasks are, you're able to assign them. You are able to also put a due date on those things, so that once you copy this to a new client, you can actually come in here and say, you can actually click on this. It's going to open up a whole nother screen, and you are then able to set a due date. You're able to track your time once you're doing these things, or you're able to watch it, as well as create a checklist and add attachments and things like that directly from the subtask. You are not going to have those capabilities if you are doing just a checklist. But either way is fine. It's completely up to you. You will be able to assign it, but you won't be able to create a due date on a checklist. The difference between and the beauty of the checklist is that you can separate those things out so that if you get a new lead and you're not quite done with the day of the reminder, or you've done the appointment but you haven't quite sent the thank you email, and you want to, we know it's a good fit, so you want to go ahead and put the second section in there right away. It's going to blend all of those tasks together, whereas if it's a checklist, you're going to have a new lead checklist and you're going to have a active client transition checklist, and they're going to be separate. So you're going to know which stage of the process that you are in. Now, over in the comments on, well, we'll get to that. Then you get into your new client checklist, and again, it's similar stuff. Your subtasks are all there. It took a second to load. I freaked out for a moment in my brain. And once you get all of these together, the way that you make these a template, because you do need to save them as a template, you will come up here. You have to click into the actual list itself. You cannot do it from the main task list, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now that we've got all of these things in here, you are going to come in here and say save as a template. I've already saved this, so I'm not going to do it again, but you would create a name, and once you start typing something new, it'll give you this option to create a new template, and you'll just choose that. And then you get to choose who you're going to share these things with. Is it public? Are you doing a custom options as far as this goes, or do you want to keep everything there? And then you will save the template, and it's going to show up in that list. Now, let me show you really quickly. If I come here and I try to save this as a template, there's no option to do that. So you actually have to click in here. It's really convenient. But nevertheless, once you do that with all of these, then you are good to go. What you're then going to do is go back in, and I created a leads, active client, past clients, and a do not contact list. Within the leads option, we have what's called statuses. You can move people through the process of becoming a lead. So these are brand new leads. I haven't done anything with them, so they stay in new. Once we've started the process, like I've sent them a link to schedule, or we are closer to our meeting, I'm going to go ahead and put them in progress, and it should here in a second if it decides to work. It's not. It should move him into a separate. There we go. Okay, so this should move him into a separate one. Let's say Katerina, we're going to say she's closing soon. And so in progress, let's say he is going to have an appointment on Friday morning. And here's where I would set the time up here. And our appointment is going to be at 10 a.m. in the morning. Now what happens if I switch, so there's 3 views that you really would probably like to have in here, and that is because if I go to calendar, it's going to show my appointment at 10 a.m. on Friday. And then this is how you can kind of track your appointments with people as well. If you're in board view, it gives you all of your different statuses at the top, and you can change how you're grouping these things by. And then if you want to okay. If you want to show in the calendar view, you want to make sure, especially if you have subtasks, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. These are all the things that are unscheduled, and then it'll also give you your overdue options. So if you have a lot of subtasks that have due dates, you're going to want to make sure that you have this set up properly. And you can do this by the day, by the week, and that sort of thing. Here we go. This is what you want. You want to show subtasks on all of these things, because holy crap if you don't. It will just completely screw you and not show you those due dates. Learn that the hard way with this. But if you're in board view, this will also give you a really good way to kind of track what your conversion rate is. Because let's say Antonia ends up being a dead lead. We're going to move her over to let's pull her up and change her. Here we go. To a dead lead. So the cool thing that's going to happen is now you can see that, whereas if you're in the list view, it's not going to show you, they've disappeared. It's basically like saying it's complete. And you could certainly create a task where on the normal view like this, you're seeing your completed tasks. You are hiding that group by status, and there is a way to actually turn that. Here we go. So this is going to show you your dead leads as well, and then you can hide the closed. The cool thing about hiding the closed, quite frankly, is that you don't need to see that until you are trying to figure out your conversion rate, which really should be only about once a month that you're doing that. And so it kind of hides those out. So basically, if all three of these closed, and this is the only one that ends up dead, my conversion rate is basically 3 to 1. Or what is that? 4, 3 out of 4. 75%, right? But if then again, if this turns out to not work out, then it would only be 50%. But this is a way for you to actually piece that kind of information together, which your conversion rate is incredibly important. Okay. So there's that. This is one way to track that. Then once you get people into active clients, let's move one of those leads into active clients. So we're going to take Katarina Lopez, and we're going to say that she is now an active client. And we're going to put her in the in process, because we are changing statuses, because active client list has different statuses. Basically has in process and then complete. And we don't put anybody in complete, because we were then going to move them into past client status. This is when they are an active client. So back in list mode, what we're going to do is now we're going to import that template. So we're going to click on templates, and we are going to, this is the templates within this workspace. We are going to do the new client checklist, and we're going to use that. And now you see that everything popped up, right? And what we would do is in here, we would have a bunch of notes. We would have notes about their goals as a business owner. We would have notes about what they're planning to do with their business, lifestyle and personal concepts. The client is not going to see this. So this is simply 110% just for you. You are wanting to track things like, do they have kids? And obviously, as you go through time with these people, you are going to remember those pieces of information. But at that outset, you are not going to have that kind of information. So it's really a nice way to show people that you were listening and that you remembered them. And quite frankly, sometimes the best way to do that is to create notes in these systems so that you can go back, especially if you're dealing with a lot of different people, or it's not somebody that you talk to regularly and that you're connected on social media with so that you're seeing their lives. If you're not doing that in your business, you have to find another way to connect with these people. And I can tell you that some of my best friends come from business relationships just simply over time. But I was following them on social media, so I could actually see those things. So anyway, once you get in here, now you've got your list here, and you can just check these things off and consider them complete. Okay, and if you have more than one status in here, obviously there would be more options here. And once they're complete, there you go. Oh, there is your completed, and you can pull that back up. Do you see how cool that is? So this is just a really good way to make sure that you are following the exact same procedures for every single client, and everybody is having the exact same experience. Okay, and then let's say Katerina, we finish her project and we are ready. She does not decide to continue on an ongoing basis, and so she becomes a past client. We're going to say that she is newly closed, and then we're going to go in here, and we already have a couple people. So let's say Angela Martinez. We're gonna pull her up. So one of the things that we have to do is move her to the past client email segment, because that's something that you should be doing. You should have an active client segment and then a past client segment as well. And we are going to pull in the template. I might have already done that. Nope. Okay. So we're going to delete this one. So we already have it. We're going to add client to past client email segment, send through a past client email workflow, which you can design on your own, and then send a gift and a handwritten thank you card if it was a good relationship. And then 2 weeks out, you want to ask for your first referral. Now, I went in here and created a checklist as well, just to kind of show you what that would look like. And then your task lists are like that. So it's completely different. If, however, and this might be a situation where you have what I would call a nightmare client. This is not somebody that you ever want to talk to again. It's rare, but it happens. I've been a VA for 8 years, and it has happened to me once. So again, not something that I've experienced a lot of, but it is definitely something that happens. So let's go in here and let's say that Susie Lancome, after she was in the active client status, and it was just a horrendous experience. I have no desire to ever talk to her again, and we're gonna say this and we're gonna be done. So let's go into that do not contact list. Like I said, or it could be somebody that you worked with a year ago and you have pivoted your business and they have said, look, this doesn't line up with what my needs, so please don't contact me anymore. You would do the same thing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come into Susie here, and we are going to clear all this out. We're definitely not asking for a referral because we don't want people like Susie. And we are going to bring in the do not contact list. It's really just one thing, but it's good to have this as, you know, something that you're dealing with. You are going to remove or unsubscribe them from the past client email list if they were there. If they were in the active list, you're going to remove them from your email list, basically, completely. Don't delete them because you need a record of that for GDPR and other, the California laws and things like that. You have to keep records of these things unless they request that you completely delete them and send all of the information to them. So once you do that, you click here, and now they are set to complete. Bada bing, bada boom, they're done. They are in that list. Obviously, they're going to be here. Now, this is how you can track all of that information. And even further, in one that's complete like this, I would say make a note in here and said, Susie requested that I not contact, if it's something like that where they've requested it, I not contact her via email on such and such day, let's say 7/10/2020 at 4 p.m. And this way that you have a record of when that interaction took place and you were good to go. Basically covers your butt. And everybody should be covering their behind, okay? All right, guys, so this is just a really brief way in which to work with and all of your stuff is going to be here, which is really, really cool. You can also time track. So as you're doing specific tasks, like admin tasks, it's really good to actually keep track of the time that you have spent with people and on things for clients. Because what's going to happen is over time, when you first start out, you just have really no idea how long these tasks are going to take you. And surprisingly, it will take you longer than you imagine that it's going to take you. By tracking your time inside this program, it'll keep a record of those things for you, as opposed to having to go to something like Toggle or another space and go through reports and try to figure it out. It's all right here, which is really, really nice. And that's important when you start to retool your pricing, adjust for admin tasks, things of that nature. It's going to be critical for you to understand how long it takes to do certain things. And it's also good to be able to set realistic expectations for your clients. Look, I've been doing this for 5 years, and it takes me an average of an hour to 2 hours to do this particular task. If you don't know that, you cannot set proper expectations for people. So it's really a good idea to go ahead and track your time anyway, even if you decide to use packages rather than billing hourly. It's a really good way to do that. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm going to go ahead and get out of this and stop sharing. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you all later. See ya. Bye.